Okay, I'm going to make a short video on this part of the operations. Now, I took a lot of things off, like this battery down here. Didn't even last 5 years, cost $900. It's basically no good. I changed them out for these types of batteries, which you can see the name of those type of batteries. They went up in a price a little bit. But as you can see right now, what I want to pay attention to is it says PV. And you see it says 3 amps right now. Now it jumps to 5. Okay? I want to take that and go up here and say, okay, you see where this says 6 amps, which goes into this tie grid. I'm going to turn that down just above below. See where it says 5.5? Now look how that goes down. To see it where it's going to now 96, but I'm at right here where it says amps. That's what the A means. Using 4 amps and 23 volts. So if I'm going by this battery is putting out 6 amps, or putting into the PV is putting into my batteries 7 amps at this time. If I go back, I can see it's putting in, it says input, 35, 37 volts of power back into the battery. Okay, so let's go back to amps. Okay, so this is putting net amps back into the battery. Okay, but I'm taking this off the battery. Now, can I go up? Yes, I can go up to 200 and what's names. Normally what I'm having, because I can go up to 200 on this. This puts energy back into my grid from that cord, and it just plugs right into here and goes back into my grid. Okay, that's pretty simple. So I take this right here, put energy into this device from here. Okay, this goes into my grid and puts this energy, these watts, back directly into the walls of my house. Okay, but I control it from this. And this right here lets me know that it's charging the batteries at 7 amps. But this right here is now taking power from the grid. Which, guess what? This yellow cord to this device. See the cord going down? This is the device. And this black cord goes to this device. So I'm putting back only 4 amps for, you see it fluctuating 4 to 5 and 23 volts, which says 97, 98. Now I can put a little bit more and we're going to turn it up later, but that's not what's coming from that battery. If the solar is putting this into the battery, I am putting at this time, without turning this up, more energy back into the battery than I'm taking from the grid. Okay? Now, we know that by monitoring this right here. It's telling you how many amps and how much voltage. I'm going in there and saying, hey, I'm putting higher amps in there because this is only putting 4 to 95, 5, still not 7. As long as I can put that much when the sun is out, 7 amps, I am now putting more of that back into the battery than I'm taking off the battery. Now, right now, this is coming from the grid. That's why I don't bother it. Now, if I unplug this, it would take it from the solar. Okay, so let's do that step first. Let's go on here and pull this plug. I heard the click. And as you can see, this is now saying it's taking PVC 6 amps. It dropped it down by 1. And now my load and whatever the load is and the battery is being charged. Now this one, it dropped down. Okay? This dropped down. As soon as I took that off, because it was coming from the grid. So let's do this. Let's turn this up. And you should see a result. Now I'm putting 0 amps back into the battery, because I'm using it. Why am I using? What am I using? Look at it. 9 amps. What's 9 amps going to give me? 196 watts back into the power. So now I want to turn it back down. Get under that 7. There's 7 right there. There's 6. And there's 4. There's 2. 2 is giving me 50 watts of power. It's still saying that I'm not putting in there because it's using all of that to do both things. Put it into the grid and charge the battery. So there's no available amps left. But I know that it's got to be something, because we subtracted this number, this amps, 2 or the 3 from the 7 that we were getting. Okay? So let's go back and see what the battery is. It's saying the PV is still giving me 35. What are we taking it for the voltage? 23.6 volts. Let's go back and look at that again. Input PV 37 volts. See the little V? So it's handling that. Right now, doing it this way, this system is now running off the battery, but the battery is now being supplied directly from the solar, and the solar can keep up at this level. So when I add extra solars, I know around 60 watts of power, and I'm gonna go down to 50. So say 50 watts of power. If I add another solar, I can put another 50 watts. So I can always go up with 50 watts. But I says, you know what? That's not a problem. Because now we can just go back down here, plug this back in. Okay. You see that it's not taking it from the grid yet until this battery drops down. And I'm going to force it to do that, because now I'm going to go over the 7 amps just to show you I can do this. So I'm going 7, 9, there go 10 amps. I'm taking 10 amps from that battery. What am I putting into the grid now? See? 226 watts of power. Now this right here, sooner or later, as soon as this battery, because that battery can handle it. These are 100 amp batteries. So this can handle this for a while. Matter of fact, let's go over to the battery. And see, there's the battery. We're at 12.1. The battery power is at 12.1. So it's going to handle that until it gets down to 11. And then guess what? This up here, this symbol right there, that little circle, is going to kick in and start handling that load. But this is going to stay on, and still it's going to supplement it, but it won't be full power, but it will be putting in that power. So I just wanted to show that so people would understand how these systems work, how you can bring this down. This little thing is not needed in most people's simulators, because you see it says solar simulator. Even though I'm now running off of solar power, which is this cord right here, is running the solar into here. It's only 2 100-watt panels, so it's not very much right now. But I can control how much power is going into my system. And see that? I just turned it right down. Now I know 3 amps is coming in there, 24 volts. And I know what this is by the numbers that we used here. And I just leave it like that. Okay? Well, this is just a short video on how I estimate how much power is going into my grid, how much power is coming off my grid. 7 and 8 amps. See that? It jumps up to 100 and stuff. So you've seen how it jumped up. That's how I can monitor this. I know exactly how many watts. See the wattage? That was almost 100 watts there, but 96, 98. Let's go back down here. 12.4 in the battery. See how I turned it down and all of a sudden the battery jumps back up from 12.1 to 12.4. Let's go back this way. PV no amps because it's using all available amps. And 35 volts are going back from the PV. Remember that PV. So that's the solar putting this back into the battery. Okay. Okay. You should be able to do, if you know anything about solar. If you don't, it'll take a while to understand what's going on here. But you'll see the circles that I have. You'll see that this is all going into this tie grid and charging these batteries right here. And then this goes up in here and this kind of regulates this. I don't really need this. I can put it directly into this, but I like the way this regulates. So when I don't have a lot of power outside, I can turn it down the way I want. And then I can control what goes back into my grid. And then this right here, because these two, 1, 2, and 3, I can fluctuate on how much power is coming in and how much more I'm going to put back into my grid immediately. That's what I wanted to talk about. Thanks, everybody. It's been fun. Okay, it was one more thing that I wanted to talk about. What does this do? If anybody see it. If you look at the time and you see this red light on, this takes the power from this right here, which comes from that cord. But when the sun comes on, which I got this at 6 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, this is automatically going to stop the power coming from this device. And then it won't turn back on until the sun rises early in the morning and turn back on and start taking things. So this is just another protection that I do. So at nighttime, this thing is not consuming power. This is not giving off power that not being used. It just turns that off and stops power from draining from the grid power, which is back here. So this is out and in. It's just going to take that power, cut that off, and then no power is being drained from the battery. And this is just an ordinary switch that you can buy, a digital switch that turns things on and off automatically. Just another things that I do, like these switches right here that turns my solar off. Could I put a more expensive one in there? Yes, but this is a cheap way to do it. So again, my solar, when I'm working on it and don't want to run electricity to it, I just hit this bottom part of the button and the solar goes off. And this turns this off so I don't drain out the battery when they're not needed at night. So all these little parts just do their jobs. All right, I'm out.